Welcome back to my Sunday series. I didn't do one last Sunday because we had a clinic here at the barn and there was really no good footage from it because of where I placed the camera. But it was a good clinic. We did a groundwork clinic for, haven't had enough coffee yet. A groundwork clinic for the anxious and tense horse. And while Happy doesn't seem anxious or tense, he does need work on relaxation. And so it was really good for him. And it was also awesome to watch other horses kind of go through the same process that have never done it before, because obviously Happy's been with Stephanie for almost a year now. 2 years? Actually, yeah, maybe almost, it's a year and a half. And so he's learned a lot of the methods for relaxation that she teaches, and so he kind of picked up on it right away and had no issues. But it was interesting to watch other horses go through the course of a clinic, which was like 2 hours really, because it was a pretty quick clinic. And like relax after like coming into the barn in our arena and running frantically around. Like they're like dropping their heads and yawning and kind of almost falling asleep. So it was really good. Today though, we're going to work over a course. So Stephanie got her standards for jumping. We had jump blocks before, but now we have standards. And yesterday we did a course, but really what we just worked on was lines on the course because Happy kept dropping his shoulders and kind of throwing his body which way and kind of back and forth, whichever way he felt. And that's always been an issue with me when I've jumped him, but I've never made it to this point with jumping him when he's actually balanced. And so now he's a lot stronger and really throws himself. So we worked a lot yesterday, just kind of going over a single to a line and getting him to just listen and be straight. So today I'm going to knock all the poles down from cross rails, which they were tiny cross rails. So I'm going to knock them down from cross rails to just poles. I'm going to keep one single fence so that if I feel like we're doing really well, we can work over that. But I think mainly my focus today is going to be working over a course and just trying to get him to go through the course without throwing his shoulders and being straight. I want him to be straight. I want him to be listening. And he doesn't have to be adjustable through the lines or through the course, but I would like it if we're not like blasting through things because he really likes to jump, and when he gets locked on a jump, he's like blasting towards it. So that's kind of going to be the focus today on this Sunday series. And I'm just waiting for all the horses to finish eating their buckets, and then I'm going to turn everyone out and let Happy have maybe like 20-25 minutes of hay time in the pasture. And then I'm going to get ready and tack up. So until then, I guess I'm just going to sit here and have my coffee.
Yes, I know. But you have to come work just for a little bit. Yes, I know. Not today. Oh, don't eat the pumpkins now. You know better than that. For anybody wondering why I have a black saddle now, probably not wondering, but I bought a thoroughbred used saddle for Happy for his school saddle, so that people wouldn't have to ride in my Sommer, since my Sommer is a really nice saddle. And this has the gullet system that you can change out, so
I put the medium wide gullet on this and it fits him way better than my Sommer does. And since he's gonna be putting on muscle, we feel like over the winter time anyways, I'm gonna ride in this until he gets to the wide gullet, and then I'll get my Sommer fitted and then we'll ride back in the Sommer. But right now it's working really well and he rides really well in it because it actually fits him much better than my Sommer. I think my Sommer is just a little bit too narrow for him. So yeah, he's like, why are you talking and not tacking me up? So. So on Thursday, Happy was teaching a lesson and his trot was really off. His right hind was really short and he ended up having a knot in his hamstring, which made me worry that I think he got it from, we jumped a little bit on Wednesday just to see where we're at. So this is just the fun of PSSM. Horses get muscle tightness, knots, things like that, and then I'm still trying to figure out how far I can push him and what's good and what's bad. So he seems okay, and I think riding is good for him because he stretches out, just not intense riding. So we're probably gonna be focusing more on pulls than jumps for a little while, just so that he builds the strength and muscle stamina. But yeah, it's just the funs of, not the funs, but the excitement of having a horse with PSSM. So like with every ride, I'm going to start with some nice lateral work and then asking him also to stretch into contact and lift his back and just kind of make sure his whole top line is getting stretched out. He starts out a little stiff usually, but we get there eventually into a nice walk and a nice relaxed gait. And then we move into the trot. Along with using this new saddle, this Thoroughgood, I also shortened my stirrup length a little bit, which I think has made a huge difference for my leg and my stability in the saddle. I've been noticing that I feel a lot more stable and I'm able to get my leg on him a lot easier than I was in the Sommer. So that's definitely a, not edit, but like a thing I'm going to correct once I get back into the Sommer, is to bring my stirrups up probably a hole or maybe even two. We'll have to see. When I first got Happy like 3 years ago, he was incapable of doing a turn like that. There was like literally he would stop and stand like a statue. He was like an immovable force. So being able to do a whole turn like that, and I felt like he really moved pretty well off my leg, is still shocking to me that this horse is so different than he was 3 years ago. Over here on outside of the arena, Stephanie put the plank that she's painted black, and we're gonna obviously use it to jump, but it's not on part of this course right now. And Happy is very scared of it, so you'll see throughout this ride that he's going to spook at it and kind of give it a nice big old look every time we go past it. So that was an unplanned transition to canter. I know that I've been starting a lot of my rides with canter first before trot, but I've also decided in the last couple rides that I want to make sure that before we go into canter, we're not just going into canter to take off and run, which is kind of how he's been using it in the last week or so. And so I've been trying to say, okay, let's trot first and make sure that I can get you really nice off of my inside rein, inside leg, and then we'll canter. So I'd like him to trot, get his brain in the right space, make sure we're making, right decisions about what we're doing, and then we'll canter. But yeah, he's been feeling really fresh with these fall mornings that are in the 30s when I ride. So when I come past here at the trot, I'm trying really hard, and at the canter too, I'm trying really hard not to mess with his face at all and kind of give him a release and just keep my leg there on the inside as a way of, hey, let's not jump into the middle and spook away from that plank. But I also don't want to add anything with my hands to that scariness. It's something that I've done in the past where I get really busy with my hands and I'm like, no, you're gonna listen and I'm gonna muscle you through it. And he's learned that that's what I do. And so then he also muscles through it. So we've been working on me just letting my hands go and just using my legs to guide him past spooky things. I never thought he would have such a gorgeous trot, but he is so pretty when he actually extends and lifts and gets going. It's just so nice for me to watch him. And you see here why I wanted to make sure we were trotting well before we cantered. Did you notice the little head shake of he wants to go faster, but I'm not letting him go faster? He's funny. He gets really excited and he's getting so much stronger now that I think he's like, oh my God, I can do this finally. And it's just, we're working on that to make sure that we get him just a little bit more paying attention than he is sometimes. But as you can see here, he has no issue. Well, he tripped there, but he has no issue cantering. He has no issue trotting. He looks completely sound and fine. And so this is like I was saying, he had the knot in his hamstring that was causing him to have issues on Thursday. And after a massage and liniment, and basically that's it, he's fine. So even though he's managed and his PSSM is pretty much under control, he will still have days, especially if he's doing different working out than he normally does, and jumping definitely is different than what he has normally been doing. He'll have days where he'll get a knot or a cramp or something, and we just have to deal with it and hope that it goes away within a couple days. And it usually does. It usually works itself out once we've massaged it and we put liniment on it and make sure we take good care of whatever muscle has cramped or knotted up. I feel like both ways the canner has gotten a lot better in the last week. He's feeling a little bit more rhythmic with his canner and he looks a lot better, and he's actually a lot easier to ride. I don't feel like I'm having to kind of keep him together as much, and I do feel like he's starting to almost stretch into the canner, which is something he's never done before. So I'm really, really pleased with his progress in this last week. It seems like something clicked for him, or he got more strength, or I don't know what, but he's been riding really, really well. So we've had a walk break after all of that flat work, and now Happy knows that the next step is to jump and to go over these poles. And so that's why you can see now he's throwing his shoulders a little bit. I'm trying to pull him over, and he wants to canter because he knows that's the next step, because we canter over jumps. And this is what I mean. He gets a little bit strong-willed about things, and he kind of wants to do it his way, or we're doing it no way. And so that's why I have to go back and I have to say, okay, we're going to trot and we're going to listen, and then we'll canter. And then if we're crazy at the canter, which he looks pretty good here, but if he's crazy at the canter, then we'll canter until I get you to a point where you're listening, and then we'll go over stuff. But he gets so excited, and then I think he gets irritated with how I ride him, and he just wants to do it his way. And in case you forgot he was gated, there's a few steps of pace there for you. He did really well through that line. Again, I don't care if he hits the poles. I don't care if he splits the poles. I don't really care about any of that. I just want him to approach and go through the line in a very, like, I don't want to say civilized, but in a way that's not like blasting through it, like taking off. I want him to enter the line happily and exit the line happily. I don't really care what happens over the poles right now. And so I'm not really worried too much about him hitting things or splitting things. You'll have to take my word for it that that was a nice line too. And so we're walking now, I'm checking my phone and he's cooling out. But the pivot decided for some reason it lost us, even though it had us all the way up into me going into that line. So whatever. Every time he does that, I laugh. I know that that might still be a leftover of his PSSM, but also he does that when he's excited, and so it just makes me laugh every time he does that. But here we are blasting through this line. I was not happy with how quickly he went into that, but I was very happy with how he saved himself once he flew over that pole. But he's just doing as well as I would hope him to do over these, so I'm really not going to push it too much further than this, I think. And yes, I think I could have half halted him into that line and it would have been better, but I also am trying to just kind of step back and let him figure out distances on his own and let him kind of get the confidence without me pulling on him, because that's kind of our history is I've pulled on him and I've kind of told him what to do, and I think it stresses him out. So I've just been trying, as long as we're not like going insane speeds, to just let him figure out what he wants to do on his own. And he has gotten to a point where I think he's kind of getting better about picking distances and not throwing himself into a terrible spot. I said good boy there because he broke but still picked up the canter right after it without me having to ask him. So I thought that was a pretty good instinct for him. In the past, he would have just trotted and messed it up, but I was really happy with how he made the right choice there to keep cantering.
We should probably leave it there. You're being a great boy. Alright, I think we're gonna leave it there for today. He was being a great boy. He's getting tired though. And we don't want to hurt him. Wanna go for a walk? Yeah? Okay. Cool. Okay, that was a great ride. We stopped at 26 minutes just because I feel like he was getting a little tired and he was trying really hard, and he was so good. So we accomplished what I wanted to work on. Yesterday we were working on making sure his shoulders weren't going to go flying, which either way he decided. So today we worked on that, and he actually was a lot better with his shoulders. I think he only really had once or twice when we first started over the poles where he was like opinionated about throwing his shoulders around. Sorry, my nose itches. But otherwise he was really good, and he had a really nice canter. I feel like his canter's still a little on the forehand, but the fact that I feel like I can actually kind of collect it back a little bit, which is counterintuitive to it being on the forehand, but I do think you can collect a little up front in a sense as opposed to the actual collection. But he was listening to that both ways, and he was just being such a good boy. So I felt like we rode for like 40-45 minutes yesterday on our lesson. Yeah, there wasn't really much more for me to school. I could keep going over those poles over and over again, but he was just like chucking down the lines pretty well. I mean, he did have some where he got weird distances, but the fact that he's picking up the canter and like reestablishing his gait after he trips or splits a pole or something is really big for him, because he used to not know how to do that and it would frazzle him and he'd get upset. So I think we're gonna call it a day there. We're he's sniffing the ground. We're walking to cool out, and then I think that's it. So yeah, I'll check back with you before the end of this video. Okay. Thanks for watching. I just got done with all my barn chores, picked everything up, cleaned everything, put the horsies back out, gave them more hay. I'm exhausted. I'm gonna go home. Hope you enjoyed today's Sunday series and liked watching it, maybe learned something, maybe didn't, who knows. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you're enjoying this content, and let me know if there's anything that you would like to see other than what I'm posting. So, thanks!